And welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to The View from Here, Behind Enemy Lines. I don't know how you feel about that, Kate, but I feel because of the restrictions that New Jersey puts on everything and overregulation and so forth, that we are truly behind enemy lines because they are very unconstitutional in a lot of ways. My father had one business that he had in before he died was in a city which will remain unnamed, and to open part of the building to a restaurant, it took months, and they had, I believe it was 11 different inspectors come down to check out a space that was maybe 800 square feet.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Anyway, were named by New Jersey Family Mompreneur of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
So how many children do you have?
I have two. They're seven and 9 boys.
7 and 9. Okay. And how long have you had the business? Tell our viewers what you do and how you got into it.
Sure. My name is Kate Assaraf. I own Dip Sustainable Hair Care, and what it is very serious hair care for not so serious people, and it happens to be plastic free. I tried to make bar hair care so good that the plastic free part wasn't even part of the story, but it is, and it's better for your family and it's better for your wallet. And I spend a lot of my time within the business driving people to shop in local stores instead of directly from me on my site, so we can keep our small stores open all around America.
Your husband is also involved in the business, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is that who focuses on the packaging and who focuses on the contents, or do you just work together?
So he does the branding. He and I have been in beauty separately for about 20 years. And, we've known each other since 2002. So we've been together a long time. And so, yeah, I came up with the idea of having, the name, the logo, and he has this magical ability to take what's in my brain and turn it into an image. And he did that with the packaging. That's his role. And then for me, I pretty much do everything else.
Does the DIP, the P in DIP stand for like plastic, like don't include plastic or something like that?
No, it has a secret meaning that I keep to myself, but it has something to do. It has something to do with I closed another business before this, and I had a bad business partner that I didn't align with on the values. Like, they wanted to make it really big and I wanted to keep it small. And dip is basically a nod to, dipping your toe into a new business and doing it with your whole heart.
Gotcha. And also you're a surfer.
Yeah. I'm not good, but my hair gets plenty tangly that I needed a solution. So the conditioner bar does detangle your hair immediately after surfing or swimming in the ocean or a pool. But what's more important is for parents. Most people don't surf, but a lot of people are parents, and they go through this daily ritual of having to detangle their daughter's long hair. And a lot of the times it's the dads that get stuck with that job, I found, because they're the ones that write to me the most. Yeah, the dip conditioner bar will just detangle without any pain for your children.
So do you do any online business, or is it strictly mom and pop stores?
Yeah, absolutely. I do, maybe 40% of our business is direct to consumer, where people order from our site, but we do encourage people. There's many touch points along the shopping journey where we say, hey, here's our store locator. There might be someone in your town that sells dip. You can save on shipping. You can get to support your own, local town, a local entrepreneur, and make sure that your money keeps working for you. Because when you shop in your town, your money then, is paid. It goes into that web of your local economy.
Yeah, I like that part that you are so... how shall I put it? So pro local business. My father was an entrepreneur too. He came to this country with $150 in his pocket, and he wound up having starting several businesses after a few years of working for other people. And he made and lost 3 fortunes by the time he died. But he was an entrepreneur. He tried to help the local economy as much as he could, the local populace, the neighborhood. He did whatever he could. He gave a lot to his community there. And just by supporting local businesses, you automatically do that too. You support whatever local economy and society exists in that area.
Yeah, I often hear people say, teachers should be paid more, policemen should be paid, like all these, everyone says should, but when you're purchasing decisions, don't, if your purchasing decisions send your salary out into these voids, basically to Amazon, to a Shein or a Temu, or wherever you're spending your money that isn't localized, then you can't complain that the teachers in your town aren't paid well enough, because that's part of the web of where you live. It's very important. And I'm not just talking about consumer goods, even if you're shopping for, your groceries locally, or, with your farmers, or
That's true. That's true.
Well, if you shop locally, what you're doing is you're strengthening the infrastructure of your personal environment.
Mhm.
That makes a lot of sense to me. One of the things that's interesting is that you have made it a point of not going the course of the average entrepreneur, which is keep growing until you burst. You want to keep it at a level that you can integrate with it, but not destroy your home
Not lose control.
relationships.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is
that's
I
really,
think is laudable.
thank you. I have 2 children. They're only little for so long, and I don't think any business is worth the expense of spending time with my family.
Mm,
You have to build a business smart, and you have to build it in a way where you can hire, where you do need help. A lot of women I know that own businesses try and do it all themselves because they can learn all the skills, but I don't think that that's the right way to, or not right. It's not right or wrong. It's just a question of I guess the word is sustainable for your own family, to have a business run you instead of you running your business.
True.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, go ahead.
When my father first opened his first bakery, he later on had a chain and had other businesses. But he used to work 6 days, long hours, and but he would close on Mondays. And Mondays he would take us, even though he was tired from working 16-hour days, he would take us to the beach or the Palisades Amusement Park, or for rides to the park, wherever. We always went out on his day off. Always went somewhere, no matter how exhausted he was. Yeah, family was important to him.
I love hearing that, because think about just hearing you talk about it with like a twinkle in your eye is just, it's so nice to know that you remember that. That's
Oh
that's
yeah.
what I want
Oh,
for my
those
children.
memories don't go away. I mean, we're talking well over 60 years ago that these things happened, and I still remember a lot of them. Yeah. So I
So
remember them sometimes more than when I was working for him later on as an adult or as a teenager.
So what I'm really interested in, because I don't know exactly where your starting position was. So what was the first cathartic thought? Was it I need to create a business that I can maintain and still manage a family? Is it really all about the hair product? Am I trying to get rid of in other words, what was the first thing that said, I need to do this?
Okay, so the real genesis was when I was pregnant with my first son. I read this
Mm,
book, and it talked about, this was 2014, and it talked about, it was like how to raise a productive son. One of these books like this. It's called Boys Adrift, and it talked about video exposure to video games, all these things, and how boys and their fathers don't go hunting anymore, so they lose kind of those primal instincts. And then one of the things they talked about was how plastics were interfering with human health and hormones. But what they talked about specifically was that plastic runoff from a factory into the Potomac River was having the male fish lay eggs. And I found that very shocking, because when you're, 10 years ago when I was pregnant, they were like, I was drinking, a few water bottles a day. I had no idea that things weren't getting recycled. And I went down this rabbit hole of, how do I limit my exposure to plastic? I had no idea that beyond
right.
accumulation, it was destroying health. And that's starting to bubble and surface now more. But 10 years ago, it wasn't really being talked about at all. So I felt kind of like, when you're a kid and you discover that there's no Santa Claus, there's that feeling where you're like,
Well,
I can't, my world was kind of shattered that plastic wasn't recyced, and that it was also so detrimental, because it's everywhere. And so from there, I spent the next few years trying to reduce my plastic, trying to find shampoo and conditioner that I really loved. I
Mm,
could make all the other swaps, but you wear your hair every day, and I would go back to the bottle, as we say. So I would almost feel like a little bit of a charlatan because character is what you do when no one's looking. And when no one's looking, I was in my shower using expensive bottled hair care, despite the plasticness of it. And so I
right.
went solve that problem. I was like, I can't be the only woman who's been so burned and frustrated by what sustainability has to offer, and how it often feels like a cash grab where they charge you more for something that feels less than. And I was like, I can solve this problem. I can do it. And so I did.
Yeah, when a business bottom line is the bottom line, and what's going to happen is that the only thing that will matter is the sale. And
Yeah.
if you can get the sale by hook or by crook, that's the way you do it. So again, ethics is not a popular partner in a business in a lot of cases. Hopefully it isn't if you're a lawyer. But anyway, the thing is that I don't allow any unnatural chemicals in my house whatsoever, whether it's for cleaning products and so forth like that. I stick with the old fashioned not lye soap, but the old soap. And I don't use cologne because that's loaded with garbage and et cetera, et cetera. So my house is, for the most part, even my cleaning agents are like the vinegar combos and so forth like that. So I am in agreement with the fact that the invention of various agents was never really inspected well. And if you looked at, there's people that their reactions are immediate. As soon as they're in touch with these things, then there's those people who don't realize they're like the frog in the boiling water. It takes them a while to figure out they're in trouble. So I'm just letting you know that it makes perfect sense to me that, here you are, you're nurturing a child. You want your child to have the best. And that makes perfect sense for me as to what would get you to go from concept to combustion.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
can I say that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nothing's a bigger motivator than being a parent.
You guys there?
And suddenly your world expands. It's not about you anymore. And you want to solve this problem. Not for me. I want to solve this problem not only for myself, but for
like
my children,
somebody's
for
frozen.
everyone.
I don't know why.
And it's been such a wild ride, and it's been really nice because it's a lot of parents that write to me. They write to me and they're like, "Thank you for providing something that actually works, that I feel good using on my children."
Aside from selling to salons, okay, and you do have your own stores too, correct?
I don't have my own stores, but I
disappear.
I don't have my own stores, but I support retailers all around the country.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression that you had a few stores of your own as well as selling through salons and online. Are you strictly in New Jersey, or do you sell to other states?
All over the country. I think there's a dip retailer in every state right now.
Oh, that's great. That's good. That's the way to go. Expand that way, and provide the product. Now, you don't want to grow too far. Mike and I were talking about that before you came on. But what happens if, for example, the demand outstrips your ability to meet it?
I'll hire more people.
Okay.
I'm my own factory now. I'm one of those, I don't look like a factory owner, what people think of, but I own my own factory, and I proudly hire Americans to work there, and I will hire more if I need more.
No, I knew a woman who owned a factory, a clothing factory, years ago. Yeah, we know. We saw you come back.
I just got into the conversation, so I'd like to know, why are you talking about your nose? Because she's talking about her olfactory.
No, my olfactory.
Oh my God.
Sorry. You're going to get one joke out of me every time I do one of these things.
Anyway, this woman had her own factory. She made clothing, and she did very well until she had an auto accident that really crippled her for a couple of years. She wound up losing everything because her sons didn't want to have anything to do with the business. Nobody was watching it. And she lost the factory, lost everything. You at least have your husband in case something happens.
Yeah.
And hopefully your sons
I don't know how much his graphic design is going to come in handy to save the factory, but
I'm sure he's picked up some things from you.
Yeah, he's great.
And hopefully your sons will be more interested than this lady's sons were.
Yeah.
I mean, she went from having a lot of money all the time, driving a new Cadillac every year and everything, to suddenly having nothing.
That must be really tough.
To keep her house even.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Well,
anyway,
here's the thing that business-wise, I'm trying to start my fourth business, and the only thing I can say about businesses is they're constantly evolving, and failures are constantly teaching you what not to do. So whatever it is that you're looking at in the regards to the future, there's the only thing that's constant is change, and it's going to change. And that was a question I was going to ask you, which is, okay, your business has taken off, you're established, okay, you're making a living. Now, here's the thing. What do you do if all of a sudden the demand for your product becomes...
I just asked her that while you were gone. Whatever happened to your computer? I asked her that. I told her that you and I had been speaking about that before she came on and we started the broadcast.
It was my original question, by the way. He stole it.
That's a great one.
Yes. Okay, I stole it. Big deal.
What was your answer? I'm just curious.
So
she'll hire more people.
Hire more people. I'd hire more people. And if the demand suddenly went away, I would, take that as a lesson in the market changing. And, there's either adapt or close up shop and go do something else. But, I'm sure now you're going to start your fourth business, you said, once you get a taste of.
Well, yeah,
he's a game designer. He's a game designer.
Yeah. So once you get a taste of starting your own business, like it becomes part of who you are. And I think that, if anything ever happened with this company, I would probably start another one.
Yeah. Well, it's an amazing activity. It's got highs and it's got lows. And the thing is, in my particular case, I'm 71 years old. So it's what I call a super hobby, because regardless of whether or not I quote unquote succeed as far as the rest of the world is concerned, most important thing for me is I'm engaged in the process, and I see little successes here and there, and I'm very happy with what I'm doing.
Me too. I think that show Shark Tank did a disservice to America because it made it kind of too cutesy to run just a normal sized business. Do you know what I mean? It glamorized having a huge business with lots of investors and lots of hands being involved. And really, I think the American dream is having a business like mine where it's small and manageable and didn't take over my whole life, and I don't have to answer to people all day long.
Yeah. My father, for example, going back to him, for the first 10 years, he worked really, really hard. Then all of a sudden he became a success, and then he opened other businesses. He started out with 4 people working, mostly family. And eventually, by the time he sold the businesses, he employed over 100 people.
It's amazing. He sounds like a really cool guy.
It's just that business is like a child. It's going to grow, and of course you're going to manage that child, but at some point it's going to take off on its own. And are you going to be happy with that particular day? Is it going to go in a direction that you're in agreement with, or is it going to go off in another opposite direction? So the funny thing is, a business is an organic thing, and it evolves and it grows and it gets smarter because you got smarter. But also, if you have employees that are becoming more and more skilled, they're also expanding your general expertise. It's just a love-hate relationship sometimes. It just really is.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that Kate, if it got that big enough, that rather than get an IPO, no, she would keep it herself and have full control of the entire operation. Am I correct?
Who knows? Who knows what future Kate's going to do? She might be miserable. She might want a house that's clad in, marble.
Or just sell it to somebody else.
I know exactly what Kate would do. She would go ahead and sell the business and surf for the rest of her life.
Yeah, with my kids. As long as they're small, I would do all those things.
I want to ask you, did you ever see the movie Surfer Dude?
A long time ago.
I love that movie. And I was wondering, how realistic is that movie? Because I thought it was fan-freaking-tastic.
I don't remember the details of that movie so much, but I think surfing's been glamorized for a long time. A lot of surfing is failing. A lot of surfing is just being really embarrassed.
He's almost like a guru in it, and he's very ethereal and he's very intuitional. And I watched it twice, because the first time I watched it because McConaughey was in it. And then the second time I watched it again because I wanted to make sure that it was as good as I thought it was. And I was really impressed with the character.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to pick it back up and watch it again. It's been a while, but I think surfing gets glamorized a lot. And if you're good, it's probably really dreamy. I'm okay. I'm not a dreamy surfer. I'm thankful that I get up on the board every time, because you're always surfing in different places. The waves always change.
Well, that's the excitement of it. I mean, you don't want to get into dull routine.
It's true. I also like doing things. I've always tried to do things that I found are difficult because it's, I don't know, it's just a better. I'm the youngest of 4, and everyone I know that's the youngest in their families are those people that like to do things that are really.
You have to show everybody else.
Yeah, you don't want to be seen as the baby. You want to be seen as capable. So you start taking up all these things. Starting a business might have been
my younger granddaughter, the youngest of 3. She's always proving it, but she's got the talent and skills to do it.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say to the audience about advice on starting their own businesses or going in, following their dreams, or
right? And also include selling your product. let everybody know how you
Yes,
can get
I'd like to know where people can get your product. In fact, when Mike told me that, or you said something about a detangler, I thought of my granddaughters who sometimes they have long hair now, and it gets tangled too. And I've seen my son detangling it.
Yeah, it's so fun. In so many families, it is the dad that gets to do the detangling on long daughter's hair. I don't know
it.
why that has come to be, but it's just funny to see that pattern.
Yeah.
The thing I would tell people the thing I would tell people about starting a business is that you can't. My biggest mistake ever in business was taking a business partner the first time. I just
Mm.
don't think you can share your passion with someone. Like I thought I needed a partner for the things that I wasn't comfortable doing, and that's when you're a first time entrepreneur, that's a mistake a lot of people make.
Your
And I
own little
think
Shark Tank.
that you can't expect someone else to feel passion through osmosis. Passion's not learned. It's either there or it isn't. And so I would be very careful with not trusting yourself to do all of the things that it takes to run a business. For some reason I was scared of bookkeeping and scared of, tax stuff. And then you just kind of learn it and you do it on your own and it's fine. And then the other thing I would say is, just before you hit, add to cart on Amazon, see if there's somewhere in your town that sells what you're looking for. It's a big part of, kind of bringing back rehumanizing capitalism, which I think has kind of lost the plot a little bit, and getting to know the people in your town again,
Yeah, I do that when I have to go to get something at Home Goods. So I'll check first with the local Ace Hardware. Now they are owned by local businessmen.
Mhm.
It's a franchise operation, and I'll pay a little more there, but I know I'm supporting my town's economy rather than the next town over, and also a corporation that's worth billions of dollars. I like this guy here who put everything he's got into this business, puts his heart and soul into it, and yeah, I want to help him succeed.
Yeah, that's actually how we chose our town in New Jersey where we live was when we were looking at different towns, we went to a hardware store and there was a teenager working at the hardware store and my husband asked him a question and he knew everything about everything in the store. My
There you
husband's
go.
like, this is the kind of town I want to live in. And I thought
Yeah,
that was really nice.
you don't too often these days.
No,
You go to these big stores, ask them a question. They're in outer space. They have no idea what you're talking about.
I thought you
no,
lived in California.
no, I'm in New Jersey, Jersey
It's a
person.
Jersey girl,
Yes, I'm a Pennsylvania
born
guy.
and bred.
Oh, cool.
Were
What
you
part?
born and bred here?
Easton.
I Easton. Okay. We have one of our top stores is in Easton. It's
Easton.
called FD Market. And then
What's it called? I'm sorry.
FD Market. And then I was born and raised in South Brunswick and then Randolph, New Jersey. And then I've lived all over. I lived in California. I lived in New York, London, Paris. But I wanted my kids to grow up with the East Coast sense of humor. So
I spent the first 60 years of my life mostly in New Jersey, and then when I retired, I ran away.
the taxes are very high. I'm thinking about running away from New Jersey too, even though I love it.
Yes.
If my sons and my grandchildren weren't here, I wouldn't be here.
I hear a lot of people
And I
say that.
used to love this. I loved this state for so
Me too.
long, but now it's just so. When my father bought his first business, he had to fill out one sheet of paper.
Yeah.
Now you need a lawyer and like 11, 12 sheets of paper and notaries and so forth to to buy any business.
Yep.
Even to rent something. As a franchisee, I mean, you'll see things that are hundreds of pages long, but it's not. They don't make it. They don't allow it to be simple anymore. They want it, and they do this mainly, I believe, just to get money out of the person
I
who's
agree.
putting up a business.
Yeah.
There's no need for a lot of that stuff. I mean, okay, sure, you have to make sure your plumbing is working, your electric is working, but you don't need 11 different inspectors to look at things, and then the delays in getting them all in to give the final approvals and so forth. And also, I think the responsibility, I've always thought this, responsibility for something going wrong, if you open, for example, a restaurant or whatever, and if people get food poisoning, you should be personally responsible as the owner. Whether you have it incorporated or not, you as the CEO should be, excuse me, should be responsible. So that would be, I think, better than making sure you have the right paperwork and you have everything was done okay. So you go to court and say, well, I followed all the rules. that
Yeah.
the zoning board told me to follow, so it's not my responsibility. No, you should be responsible, and the zoning board shouldn't be getting thousands of dollars out of your pocket every year.
So
Totally. I know mentioning Atlas Shrugged always divides people, but there's a lot of truth in that book. Have you read
Yes.
it?
Yeah, some people think it's ridiculous. Yeah, others, I mean, I think it
I
has
love pork.
lessons to learn.
The thing is that since you are New Jersey based, is that where you have your product produced?
My product is produced in North Carolina. So I rent a factory there, or commercial space, and now it's a factory. And then I'm here running the business in New Jersey.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How big is your operation, can I ask? I mean, how
Are
many
you
people do
asking
you employ?
how many people? We're at 9 right now,
Okay.
which is pretty, it
And you
feels
sell
good.
all over
I
the
never
country,
intended
so
to have a factory.
that's good. You sell all over the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And I think we're bringing on one more person in a few weeks. So yeah, it's been really nice to create this group of people that's just as passionate about what I'm doing.
Good.
And the people that work for me really are the reason I'm able to have such a great company. I'm very thankful for them.
Okay.
As I was looking through the internet on Dip, I saw that one of your products was in a plastic bottle. It appeared to be plastic. So,
It is
so you
plastic.
can use plastic sometimes, right?
So that particular product I was somewhere where I overheard someone saying that they had 40,000 plastic bottles that were going to go to a landfill. And it was for a brand that didn't want them anymore, where they were just going to send them to garbage. And if you notice, they're pretty ugly. They don't go with my brand at all. But what I did was I trademarked the term great filled dead stock, because they're dead stock plastic, and I gave them one more life with this awesome product that can really only be done in plastic. So I gave them one more life before they officially go to
So
landfill.
can you bring that bottle back to your store and get a nickel like they used to be in the old days?
I don't have the operations to support that, but there's really nothing stopping
You may
someone
be too
from
young to
filling up,
remember that stuff.
as much as they want. But yeah, that product, it's just a shower in a bottle, which you haven't really seen. If you know anyone who's been in the hospital, that they don't really shower you well in the hospital, or if you have like any new mom that doesn't get to shower, it's really anytime you can't shower, if you're camping, you just spray and it'll like get rid of all of the dirt and grime and any organic oil in your hair. But it can't be done.
So the container that you use is basically a paper container, and it looks like a big bar of soap, as I remember.
Yeah.
So you actually
Everything seems to be going to bars.
what?
You're both talking at the same time. Sorry.
So a lot of beauty products, let's say, seem to be going towards bars these days,
Right.
Yeah.
rather than in a plastic. Personally, I can't use any of the liquid soaps anymore because it affects my skin in a bad way. So I eventually get rashes. So I only use regular bars of soap, and the simpler the soap, the better.
Yeah.
I use
And
coconut.
it sounds like you don't like fragrance either. So we have completely scent-free products.
A few years ago, I took an allergy test at my doctor. He came up with 72 different allergies.
Oh my
Not
God.
that they affect me at all, because I'd have to, for example, stand next to something for 5 years and inhale it before it did anything. My body is sensitive to these things. Perfumes, I don't wear colognes that often, very, very rarely, because I'm not supposed to use fragrance. The two big ones are latex and what the hell? Yeah, latex and rubber are the ones that really cause me to break out in something. So I avoid them.
Yeah. I mean, DIP is really a lot of functional medicine doctors that don't allow their patients or patients that have IVF or going through IVF, they recommend DIP, the fragrance-free version, so that their patients aren't exposed to anything at all.
And dip, is it just for women and children, or for men also?
For men also. So I saw that men are kind of ignored by sustainability a lot. And, that I don't understand it, because we're all kind of on this spinning rock together. Dip, pretty much, I think 30% of our customers are men, which is high for what people think is luxury
It's
hair
an
care.
interesting thing.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of backpacking, and I'm presuming that your contents of your shampoo is biodegradable, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So actually having a bar to take care of your hair and stuff makes a lot of sense. So you might also consider the possibility of marketing it at some of the larger outdoor places. And
Yeah.
If it's truly scent free, that would be good because
You don't want to crack
you want to
bear.
stay away from scents in the woods. You don't want to draw critters to it. So I was thinking about that the other day, and I was thinking that probably would be very much appreciated amongst the hiking community.
Yeah, the hiking community and also the hunting community seems to have found dip as well because of the scent-free bars.
That's actually I was going
No,
to.
so you're already there. See there? There you go. She's a step ahead of you.
No, I love doing this.
Because being scent free is very important when you go hunting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't really consider that because the people I'm exposed to that want fragrance free generally are, immunocompromised, right? And so when I hear that it's, also great for someone who's, hunting or hiking or any of these other things, it brings me a lot of joy because these are just accidental happy externalities,
Well, if it does not produce any allergic effects, and if it's all natural and biodegradable, your market potential is extreme.
Yeah. Well, we do. So I will say we have fragrance free, but we also have synthetic scents in the rest of the line. And I'll tell you why. Essential oils are often, this is like the biggest nightmare of my life when I found it out. Because I used to go to the Church of Essential Oils and I thought that they were it. But essential oils are often cold pressed with pesticides on the plant. So you don't know actually what you're getting. And you need a lot of essential oils to scent something, but you only need a little bit of like a very clean synthetic fragrance. And so once I found that out, I was going to go the essential oil route. But when I found that out, I couldn't sleep at night, actually. The idea of pesticides just making their way into formulas without any, there's no way to list that on ingredient deck. The supplier doesn't say what pesticides they use, especially if you're, say, something like lavender that's grown in many different farms and then it comes to one place. You don't know how they're growing it. So I made the decision, which was really against the grain and sustainability, to use really high-end, they're very expensive synthetic ingredients that are not only safe to use in Europe, which has the strictest standards, but also to Credo Beauty, which is they're kind of like the gatekeepers of saying what is good and not good.
Well, that's a slightly more expensive way of doing business, but it's also the best way to guarantee success. I mean, my father, when he started out, again, he had 3 competitors. By the time he sold his place, there were 13 other competitors. All right. And we found out through the Chamber of Commerce that we had over 50% of the business in the area anyway. And that was because my father never compromised on the products, on the materials he used in the bread, cakes, whatever it was. I mean, they're not these cakes or donuts and so forth are healthy, but he used the best ingredients available and paid more than most of his competitors did for the other things. And he still had a better business because people preferred the taste.
I'm also very comfortable telling people the reason I've made certain decisions that they don't understand. If they're like, hey, you're using synthetic fragrances and I think synthetic fragrances are bad, I'm going to say I understand that position because a lot of synthetic fragrances are bad, but there's also chemists out there that have, discovered how to do many of the fragrance notes in a more sustainable and clean and safe way. And also the fact that you have to use much less fragrance than you do essential oils, because you have to really load something up with essential oils to scent it. And, I want to make sure that this isn't loaded with anything that I wouldn't want on my own family.
That's good.
Yeah, no, that's the way to go. That's the honest way to go, is provide a service or product that you would buy for yourself or in your family. Don't throw junk out there just to make money. I mean, people do that.
People do it all the time.
Yeah.
I see it even in sustainability. There's a lot of people just throwing out like junky ways to be plastic free that don't help anybody.
Well, free range, in order for chickens to be free ranged, there just has to be a door in the where the chickens are being housed. They could still be in the cage, but there's a door. They could go out if they wanted to, but because there's a door. But
that's why I only buy pasture raised eggs. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thing is that a lot of people want the more natural, less contrived products, and these buzzwords that they're out in the industry fool a lot of people because they're not aware of the fact that it's just a term. Organic, what's that? It's just really
organic.
So hopefully this podcast will help people interested in your product recognize how dedicated you are to establishing wholesome goods for them.
Yeah, I think if people were questioning, anything about the product, one, they can always write to me in the, through Instagram, through email, through LinkedIn. If you can find me, I'm there. Something to note that I think is kind of exciting is that the first we're 3.5 years into the business. We have never had to advertise. We've never run a TikTok ad or used an influencer, or, a Facebook or Instagram
Word of
ad.
mouth.
We've never had to do any of that or pay people to say they like our products. The growth has been truly organic. We're going to use organic in the right sense of the word.
Do you advertise at all?
No, I'm going to soon. I think the
Oh.
time is right, but yeah, we have not really advertised at all beyond doing some podcasts, and it's grown via word of mouth and the stores that sell
What's
it.
the website where people could reach you? Because I want to put it in the show notes.
It's dipalready.com.
Dip Already?
Yep. DIPALREADY.com. And if you go there and you'll see at the top, there's store locator, and you can see what store is closest to you. Like, what part of New Jersey are you in now?
I'm in Clark.
Clark?
Union County.
Okay. I don't know which one is closest to you, actually, but there's so many New Jersey stores.
Don't be surprised if he shows up at your front door and knocks and goes, "Can I have some soap, please?"
I'll happily send you some, especially because I can send you the fragrance free for sure.
Well, I'm going to check it out anyway because, like I said, I want to check out the detanglers for my granddaughters.
Great.
Summer's coming. They're going to be in the pool a lot.
Oh, yeah. It'll
So
stay
every time they come out, their hair gets tangled.
Oh,
and I've
I
seen
know.
Eve spend like brush her hair 300-400 times sometimes.
Yeah,
I was that little girl. That's why this exists to do. That's why the conditioner bar exists to do that, is because I remember that pain of trying to detangle after swimming.
Right.
Actually, Roy paid you quite a compliment today. You're probably not aware of it. He chose to wear his toupee today, in your honor.
I'm almost booked. You should have seen me 2 weeks ago when I got it, when my girlfriend cut it, because I like her to almost shave it off. Yeah. And this comes from a guy who, when I got married, my hair was down to here.
Oh, man. I'd love to see those pictures.
Yeah.
No.
You should have seen, though. His neck was so short. It was ridiculous.
No, I'm not Adam Schiff. Anyway, is there anything else you want to tell us? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we did a pretty good run, and I thank you for inviting me on and for
thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, and you're very personable, and you have a good sense of humor. What?
I didn't think this was going to be a good fit, but there was enough that I have in common with
He's a curmudgeon by nature.
Yeah, that I'm glad that we had this conversation.
Yeah, well, thanks.
It was very easy talking to you, very good talking to you, and I like your attitude on businesses and supporting local businesses. That's great. It's really great.
So much. Thanks for sharing your time with me. It was a real pleasure.
No, it was our pleasure. Believe me.
Okay.
Now I'm going to sign off, but just hold on for a couple of moments after I stop the recording. Make sure that everything got uploaded. Okay. So, all right. This is Roy and Mike and Kate Assaraf on The View from Here, Behind Enemy Lines. Hoping you have a good day. We'll see you next time. And I hope you enjoyed the show as much as Mike and I enjoyed doing it.
It was fun.
Bye.